Yeah, we'll have people on here. Yeah, short people can be up on there.
I'm not that short. No.
Climb on up there.
It was quick.
And then we can have people back here.
Twice as tall as everyone here.
I love it. I can't want this big, tall
Hey,
fella.
how you doing? Good, how are you? Good to see you.
Hey,
Hey.
good to see ya.
You too.
Hey, thanks for everything.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for keeping it together. Look at you, I waited to be nice still.
Oh, where? Yeah.
They made it sound like it was going to be
Sure. So in 2010, this is the temporary electrical system. And then James. Yeah, this is a quiet neighborhood, right? No problem.
Congratulations on the budget.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. What's up, lady? How does it look at this? Good. This is fantastic. All right. I am.
You guys all look fabulous.
Yeah, I know, actually. Like,
They're happy.
well said.
He's got sharp shoes.
You good? Thanks for doing this.
You're gonna speak anyway, right?
What do you say? We're good? All right. Hold on. Are we good? We're good. All right.
Let's do it.
Well, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. I'm San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, and I'm proud to be joined today by a number of my friends and colleagues, starting out with City Council President Sean Elo Rivera, City Council Member and Budget Committee Chair Chris Cate, City Council Member Dr. Jennifer Campbell. Thank you, Dr. Jen, for letting us into your district today. We appreciate being here in D2. Our Chief Operating Officer, Jay Goldstone, is with us, as well as Chief Financial Officer, Matt Vespi. He's the tall one in the back. Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Alia is here, as well as Police Chief David Nisleit, Director of Finance, Rolando Charval, and my Director of Policy, Jessica Lawrence. I know, yeah, actually, that is extremely well-deserved. And as you can see, a broad and beautiful coalition of city employees, community leaders, and other stakeholders for our great city. I want to thank everyone for joining me this morning for today's announcement. In my State of the City address, I declared that the state of our city is ready to bounce back from the COVID-19 pandemic and ready to tackle the tough issues facing our city. Many of these challenges have been years, if not decades, in the making. And whether it was poor decision-making or the lack of political will, we have historically underinvested in the assets of our city. We can't and we won't continue to allow that to happen. We are ready to build our city back from the inside out. Now, we didn't choose today's location simply because it's right here in beautiful, iconic Mission Bay, although it's a pretty good choice, generally speaking, right? We're here because this is our pump station N, and it's what keeps Mission Beach from flooding during rainstorms. It's a critical part of our city's infrastructure system, but it's also emblematic of the historic neglect that our city's core systems and facilities have faced. Now, for those of you that have been around a while, you may recall this pump station made news back in 2010 when it flooded. And the floodwaters fried all of the electrical equipment that powers this station. And what was supposed to be a temporary fix, the electrical equipment was moved into this above-ground system that you see right over my shoulder. But now it's, as you can see, corroded and rusting, and it's creating safety and flooding hazards for the community of Mission Beach. All in all, this pump station has been in need of emergency repair for 12 years. But this budget, and this year, we are going to finally allocate the funding needed to fix the electrical equipment and to lay the groundwork for the full rebuild of this station. I'd say that's credit a lot to Dr. Jen's strong leadership. This is representative. Yeah, it's worth an applaud. I'll give you that. This is representative of what this budget proposal seeks to do, to invest in the repair, the maintenance, and the rebuilding of the assets that make our city work. And that's why I'm proud to announce that my proposed city budget for 22-23 is ready to rebuild. This budget is the largest infrastructure investment in our city's history. One of the prime areas where we are focusing is on our city's stormwater systems, which ensure that our beaches and bays are clean and safe for the public to use. We have secured $359 million in a low-interest federal loan to upgrade our stormwater collection system, and this budget includes nearly $9 million of additional funding to ramp up our ability to put those dollars to work. Shout out to our stormwater department who is here. Stormwater is very important, but some of our other asset classes need attention. We're continuing our efforts to rebuild and to fix our roads and streets, and we're continuing to add roughly $8 million for traffic signals, traffic management, sidewalks, curb ramps, tree maintenance, and graffiti and weed removal. Our capital improvements budget also dedicates over $77 million for street resurfacing, an increase of $27.6 million over the current annual budget. We're also allocating dollars to finally complete our street condition assessment, which will tell us where we need to dedicate more resources to address the roads that are most in need of TLC. And finally, we're increasing our funding for our Park and Recreation Department by $7.8 million this year, including $1.2 million to provide equity in park programs, ensuring that residents in every neighborhood have access to great park services. On public safety, from police to fire to our lifeguards, our proposed budget not only invests in the stations where they're based and the equipment that they use, but also in the first responders themselves. In the face of rising crime and increased calls for service, my budget fully funds our police department, $584 million. San Diego's police department's operating budget is $13.8 million higher than last year. And to clarify for all of you who watch this closely, this comparison leaves out pension costs, which we have little discretion over. In addition, we are increasing the department's overtime budget by $5.5 million for a total of $36 million. This budget also helps to facilitate our continued recruitment of more police officers by filling out academies and through my proposal in partnership with Chief Nisleit to provide lateral bonuses as incentives for officers from other jurisdictions to join the best police department in the country, SDPD. Now, along with public safety, homelessness and housing continue to be the top priorities of my administration. In this proposed budget, we are continuing our efforts to ensure that more San Diegans have an affordable place to call home and our unhoused neighbors can have the opportunity to rebuild their lives. We're building on our existing homelessness strategies and solutions budget with $13.6 million more for a total homeless services allocation of $63.3 million. This includes staff and non-personnel expenditures to sustain the current shelter system and to add up to 400 emergency shelter beds for single adults, youth, and for families. We're continuing our investments in coordinated street outreach efforts to get people who are experiencing homelessness off of our streets for good, while also providing more workforce training. And we're supporting our Homes for All of Us initiative by investing $2.6 million in regulatory streamlining and new permit processes so that we can build more homes faster. Now, we can't talk about the future of this great city without talking about how we're following through on our ambitious climate action and climate resiliency strategies. My proposed budget includes funding for all of the recommended positions in the Sustainability and Mobility Department to ensure that we are implementing our climate action plan fully. This budget funds our zero emissions vehicle strategy, as well as our building decarbonization strategy, along with funding to complete our mobility action plan. It also adds a chief resiliency officer to put in motion our climate resilient SD initiative and to prepare our communities, our neighborhoods, for the impacts of climate change. In closing, my Ready to Rebuild budget is a reflection of our shared priorities as a city. It is reflective of what San Diegans expect us to do as a city. It solves problems, keeps us safe, invests in our communities, and above all, gets things done. I could not be more grateful to the leadership of this city, particularly our Department of Finance teams, for working with me so closely to craft this fiscally responsible, forward-looking budget. I also want to thank my partners on the City Council. Members of this council have clearly shared with me their priorities, and this budget is built with their input in mind. This spring, they will lead a robust and transparent public process to review this proposed budget, and I'm confident that the result will be a final budget that all San Diegans can be proud of. With that, I'd like to introduce the leader of our City Council, Council President Sean Elo Rivera. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Twice in one day. And good stuff. Working on the budget is one of the most important things that we do on City Council every year. We must use the public's resources wisely to provide residents what they need and what they deserve. San Diegans in every single neighborhood should expect and receive quality roads, parks, and libraries. Unfortunately, as the mayor mentioned, years of neglect and short-sighted decisions from previous administrations have left many communities lacking what they need, and essential work left undone. Our streetlights should work, our roads should be good, our infrastructure dependable, and our workers treated with respect and dignity. That hasn't been the case, but that era is over, and the mayor's proposed budget is proof of that. We must strive for efficiency to get the most out of what we spend in such a way that connects these different issues that we need addressed. For example, addressing climate action while creating opportunities for youth that also makes us more safe. Reviewing city-owned property for use as child care centers, allowing more working families to prosper. Helping small businesses in traditionally underserved communities, which can generate new areas of commerce across our city. And we must address our housing shortage and provide real solutions to reducing homelessness. And perhaps most importantly, we must invest in our most precious resource or asset as a city, and that's our people, the folks who do the work, these people behind us, and they deserve a round of applause as well. My constituents have reached out, used their voices loudly in some cases about their priorities, and each budget is an opportunity for us to make the investments needed to address the needs of every community in San Diego. I'm excited to partner with my council colleagues. As the mayor said, this kicks off a process. The council over the next several weeks, with Councilmember Cate's leadership, is going to dissect this budget line by line to ensure that that the final product is one that is a budget that meets the immediate needs of San Diegans and puts us on a path to the long-term success that San Diegans deserve. So with that, I'd like to introduce Councilmember Cate, who will be leading us through this process. He's our chair of the Budget Review Committee. Councilmember Cate, come on up.
Thank you very much, Council Presidents, and thank you, Mayor Gloria, for bringing us all together this morning. When I talk to District 6 residents, one of the issues that comes up most frequently is our infrastructure. San Diegans want our streets, sidewalks, and streetlights repaired. They ask about the city's aging stormwater system and improvements to our community parks and libraries. With a significant portion of the mayor's budget focused on infrastructure, I'm proud to join the mayor and my colleagues today and say we hear you and we're ready to rebuild. District 6 residents also come to me with concerns about our public safety. With crime on the rise and attrition rates where they're at within our police department, our city is facing a critical time. We must do more to protect San Diegans, and I'm gratified to see in the budget the continued investment to support our public safety personnel. Over the last 3 years, the pandemic has impacted virtually every industry in San Diego. We are now in the time of defining what our future will be and forging a path to get there. Our local businesses have been struggling to stay in the black, adapting to numerous changes and regulations from the city level all the way up to the federal level. Consistency, communication, and reliability are key factors to ensuring the job creators and employees in our communities have what they need from the government's end to run their businesses and do their jobs. As was mentioned, in the coming weeks, beginning on May 4th, the Budget Review Committee will be holding public meetings to dissect this budget and hear from each of the individual departments. And I want to thank our Department of Finance and all the city departments ahead of time for making yourselves available and being under the microscope from the City Council and answering all of the questions that we will be asking to ensure that this budget reflects the priorities of our residents. As chair of our budget committee, I am dedicated to protecting the core city services San Diegans cannot live without. It's time to reinvest in our communities and our infrastructure. The mayor's proposed budget for fiscal year 23 will help address and bolster these significant issues, all of which impact the daily lives of San Diegans. And I look forward to moving this process forward and working together toward a brighter future in America's finest city. And now I would like to introduce our Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Alia Curry.
Thank you, Councilmember Chris Cate, and good morning, everyone. Water is the lifeblood of our city. That's why I'm proud that Mayor Gloria's budget makes expansive investments to bolster our city's water supply and stormwater system. Last year, Mayor Gloria made stormwater a standalone department at the city, elevating its significance. This year, the mayor's proposed budget includes $361.5 million in critical funding for major water improvements across our city, including repairing this stormwater station right here. The budget also includes $349 million for Pure Water San Diego, a city program that will provide nearly 50% of San Diego's drinking water by 2035. Pure Water, the largest and most ambitious infrastructure project in our city's history, uses proven purification technology to clean recycled water to produce safe, high-quality drinking water. It offers a cost-effective investment for the city's water needs and provides a drought-proof and sustainable local water supply. This budget also recognizes the importance of stormwater infrastructure to our way of life here in San Diego. The Stormwater Department's public outreach and education arm, Think Blue San Diego, is being allocated an additional $1.4 million this year. The goal of Think Blue is to make sure every San Diegan knows that clean water and clean beaches are made possible by clean stormwater. Our stormwater staff take action every day to stop pollution from getting into our beaches and to stop pollution from entering our storm drains, from sweeping our streets to cleaning debris from channels. Think Blue is getting the word out about how important it is for all of us to do our part in this effort, whether it's picking up pet waste, not overwatering your lawn, or properly disposing of hard-to-recycle materials. You don't often hear the public talk about stormwater infrastructure because it's largely out of public view, but it plays a major role in the quality of life for San Diegans. Our city has an aging stormwater system that needs significant investments to replace pipes, pump stations, and levees that are 60 to 100 years old and at risk of failing. I'd like to thank the mayor for seeing the gaps that exist in our current infrastructure and stepping up to fill them. In addition to the mayor's proposed investments in this year's budget, we recently secured a federal loan that will allow us to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into stormwater infrastructure over the next 5 years. Ongoing infrastructure investments like this are critical for our collective quality of life. And with these investments, we're ready to rebuild our city for all of us. Thank you. With that, I'll hand it over to San Diego's Chief of Police, David Nisleit.
Thank you, Alia. Thank you and good morning. At first, I want to start by thanking Mayor Todd Gloria for his commitment in this proposed budget to public safety and law enforcement. Fully funding the police department means we will be able to keep San Diegans safe. This budget enables us to do multiple things. Maintain our goal of 50 recruits per academy times 4 a year. Offer overtime hours to keep command staffed. Continue supporting crime prevention programs. Providing our officers with an updated benefits package that's competitive in the marketplace. As a lot of people know, not only in this city but across this nation, public safety is on top of everybody's mind right now with the rise in violence, and rightfully so, what we've seen across this nation and the city alone, right? So, obviously, I've been in close communication with the mayor on how we're addressing this on a daily basis. Again, I want to thank the mayor for his commitment. I want all San Diegans to know that their police department is working hard for them each and every day. Our officers are responding to more calls that require more and more time. For example, this past weekend, a hostage situation in Tierra Santa, that within about 10 minutes we had both of those hostages rescued and nobody injured and the suspect in custody. Talking about new investigative techniques, we've started a new ghost gun team, and as we speak right now, we've already recovered over 150 ghost guns so far this year. We're also arresting criminals at a very high rate. Our homicide clearance rate is north of 80% as we speak today. Also, our officers, especially our patrol officers, are using proactive techniques to get more and more guns out of the hands of those that wish to do us harm. Again, I want to thank the mayor for supporting our department in this budget. We look forward to seeing the final budget approved by the council so we can put these dollars into action. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Mayor Todd Gloria. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Alia. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Council President. I want to echo the comments of the Council President. Extreme appreciation to the city employees who are here, all of our rank and file, as well as the department directors who are here, and all of what you do every day. Unsung heroes in terms of the work that gets done. It's not easy to run the 8th largest city in the country, to serve 1.4 million residents, but you all do it extremely well, and I'm deeply grateful. And I'll tell you that making you all stand out here in front of this beautiful water, dressed in your work outfits, there's no end to your public sacrifices, I know. But that, I think, is a testament to how much they love this city and how much they're willing to work hard for this city to make sure that we serve the people of this great city. So let me say, just in closing, budgets are statements of priorities. And this plan prioritizes a healthy fiscal future for San Diego with investments that protect and enhance the quality of life of all San Diegans. We are making sure that we have the personnel to perform the work, to tackle the backlog of repairs that are needed to streets, to park facilities, sidewalks, repair the storm drains that keep these beaches and bays so beautiful. We are collectively spending like there is a tomorrow. What I mean by that is that we're thinking about this budget decisions, how they'll affect the city 5 years from now, decades from now, planning for the long haul. So we're going to be here for a long time. And all of this beauty that you see around us, is worth fighting for. And so we're laying down what I think is a transitional year. As we come out of the pandemic, and as we plan to tackle these long-term challenges, I'm confident with this proposal, made better through the public process, will make sure that we meet the expectations of the people of this city, the folks who do the work day in, day out, and send a very clear message that San Diego is ready to rebuild. Thank you all so much for being here this morning. We're going to take a look around the pump station so you can see the intricacy of the work that is done. I recognize a lot of people drive over this every day. They probably have no idea what's going on here and how critical this facility is to making sure that people can actually live, work, and play in this space. And I want the opportunity to share with the media, what we're doing here. It's expensive, it's complicated, but it is necessary. And it's the kind of stuff that maybe hasn't gotten the attention that it needed in the past, but it's getting attention now, and we will all benefit as a result. So happy to do some one-on-ones, happy to take you through the pump station, and happy to propose this budget. Actually, forgive me, one thing I did forget to do, and this is a cardinal mistake. Let me be very clear. We are not out of the woods yet when it comes to our finances. We are still dealing with a lack of revenue from the pandemic. They are certainly better than we anticipated. Folks are traveling to San Diego, and that's a good thing. And if you have family members who are coming, don't put them up at your house. Put them in a hotel. Make them pay for that. We got to pave some roads, everybody. But as sales tax and property taxes and tourism taxes come back, again, not to where we want them to be, but they're getting close. Point is, this budget would look radically different without the leadership of President Joe Biden and members of the Congress, particularly our San Diego congressional delegation that helped to pass the American Rescue Plan. Those dollars were critical last year to prevent massive draconian cuts. We're using them again this year to make sure that not only can we avoid cuts, but we can make smart investments. Deeply appreciative to our federal partners. Again, this would be a different announcement today if it wasn't for that. And we're, again, using these dollars very wisely to invest in our infrastructure, the biggest investment in infrastructure in a city budget in history. That's the kind of stuff that's going to start taking some of these crummy roads and turning them into something smooth and sexy. We're going to make sure that there's a police officer, a firefighter, a lifeguard when you need one, and make sure sure that we have wonderful public facilities, libraries, parks, and other programs to make sure the job gets done. And again, the last and the biggest issue out there is around homelessness. I know and I see and I hear from everyone. This is a challenge not just to our budget, but to our morals as a community, and whether we're going to need to leave very vulnerable, very sick people out on the streets. The city can't solve this all by itself, but an over $60 million commitment, a dramatic increase in the number of shelter beds that are available. Let's never forget, shelters are the stepping stone to permanent housing. We get people off the streets, we get them into shelter, we get them triaged, and we move them into permanent housing where we end their homelessness for good. That's what the city's committed to do. We're going to continue to work with our county partners, our state partners, to make sure that we're reforming behavioral health, because you guys see them too. You see folks who are deeply in debt, deeply into mental illness, into addiction, and they need a better option than what we're currently providing them. City can't do that by ourselves, but we're going to work with our state partners to do that, and we'll continue to be competitive for federal dollars that will allow us to expand our shelter-based programs, our street outreach programs, and the permanent housing that ends homelessness. So we got a lot of work to do, but we're a big city, and we're capable of doing big things. Look at this park. We built this a number of decades ago. We can do big and bold things like this again. This budget lays the foundation for that. Again, thank you for being here today. We will take questions one-on-one, and we'll take you through a tour. And again, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you standing out in the sun. Thank you all.